Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a good weekend. So, we had a little gap up overnight. We got up near some daily moving averages and key levels, and near our 2-hour squeeze top, and then sold right back down near the bottom. Came back to fill that gap up. And so now we see, can we hold Friday's lows? Can we hold this 2-day squeeze bottom, this 2-hour squeeze bottom? Overall looking for a hold around 38.55, Friday's low 38.46, and, and a key level at 38.43. As long as we can hold here, looking to try to catch a bounce back up to where we are right about now, 38.78.5, back up to 3900, 39.22, and back to 39.50, 39.70, where we just topped out. We have our daily 8 and our daily 200 sitting right around 39.50, so a big upside target. And if we can push past our pre-market high at 39.71.5, next target would be 39.78 and 39.96 where the daily 21 sits, 40.15 where the daily 50 sits. But if we start to give out Friday's low and that 38.43, then we want to play it down to 38.20, 38.07.5, 3800, 37.73, 37.41 are targets to the downside. And our third Keltner, is that right? Yeah, third Keltner sits down there, 37.82. I'll take a quick look also. Yeah, we have a zone down there. So we're trying to hold near this zone around 3900. That mid-January bounce point that took us higher. If we start to lose that and Friday's low and see more selling this week, then it's down to 3800. 3750, kind of the bottom of the support that bounced us in December. So we've got targets to the upside, targets to the downside. Let's see if they're done selling after all of this crazy bank stuff that's going on. Let's see if we're going to have any kind of snapback this week. And it is an OPEX week. We could get some interesting action the first couple of days. And then it could start to settle. Let's pull up our economic calendar real quick. So not much on the schedule today. So we could see an interesting pop back today and then do tomorrow's CPI data that's coming out at 8:30. Going to be a big one. On Wednesday we have retail sales and PPI, some manufacturing data. Thursday we have jobless claims, some housing data, some Fed manufacturing. Friday we just have some manufacturing data and some consumer sentiment, probably from University of Michigan. So, going to be an interesting week. We have PPI, CPI, we have OPEX week, plenty of volatility in the market. So let's see if we can keep moving. At least the first half of the week. They might end up parking it the second half of the week. But we'll see what we get. Let's move on to NQ. So NQ holding up a little better. Tech trying to remain strong, even in the wake of all this selling. I mean, you can see, we saw in ES that it came back to fill the gap, and Q's trying to hold up above that overnight low. So let's see if we can continue to hold this 11,950. Basically looking for a hold there, the daily 200, daily 50. If we can hold there, looking to get back up to where we are now at about 12,000. And try to push back up to that 12,100 key level where the daily 8, daily 15 sit, daily 21 at 12,150, and the 2-hour squeeze top at 12,200 near our overnight highs. If we start to lose that 11,950 that I want to see us hold at the daily 200, then we're likely going down to finish filling the gap down to 11,900 and down to 11,800 near Friday's lows and the bottom of this 2-hour, 4-hour squeeze. If we start to give out Friday's lows, we want to target down to 11,700 at the bottom of the 2-day squeeze. Anything past that, 11,600, 11,500, where the bottom of a 2-day squeeze sits waiting for us. Third Keltner down near 11,350. Ready. Ruddy a little weaker, already set a new low past Friday's low, but bounced right back up. Let's see if Ruddy can basically hold around this 1745, 1750. Third Keltner is 1745, 1750 a psych level. If we can't hold there, then we want to target down to 1700, 1650, which is a big key zone of support. I'll let you go back in time to see why it is. But if we can hold at this 17,750, looking to try to bounce back up to 1800, 1825, where we topped out overnight. The daily 200 and the daily 8 sit basically at 1835. And then if we can clear that, target up to 1860 and 1875, where the daily 21 sits. 1887, where the daily 50 sits. YM. Also a little weaker compared to Tech. Came back to fill the overnight gap, but holding above Friday's low, which is down near that 31,800. So looking for 31,800 to hold. Looking for us to pop back above 32,000. And then try to make that push up to 32,250, 32,500, about where the daily 200, daily 8 sit. Top of the 2-hour squeeze around 32,600. And the daily 21 sitting up at 33,000. We got plenty of targets to the upside for daily moving averages for liquidity. If we start to give out Friday's low and that 31,800, we want to target down to 31,600 and 31,450, where the third Keltner sits to the downside. Apple. Overall, Apple, on Friday, I said if we lose 150, target down to 147.5. The low on Friday was about 147.6. Overall, looking for that to hold again at about 147.5. It's where the daily 200 sits. If Apple starts to lose 147.5, 147, we'll be firing these lower time frame squeezes to the downside, and we want to target back to 145, 144.5, our zone below. Down at the bottom of the daily squeeze, the daily 50 also sits at about 143.5. So 3 targets to the downside if Apple does give out. If we can hold 147.5, looking for it to try to get back above 149, 150, and fight back up to 152 at the top of the squeezes. Amazon. Looking a little weaker this morning, sitting near Friday's low. Overall, looking for it to try to hold 90, 89.5 at the bottom of this 2-day squeeze. We can hold there, looking for Amazon to try to bounce back up to 91, 92, 93, where the daily 8 sits. Yeah. It starts to give out 89.5, target down to about 88 at the bottom of the 2-day squeeze. Google. Trying to hold Friday's low around 90.5. If that gives out, coming down to 90, 89.5, 89, where our zone sits below. Kind of the last spot that we based a couple of weeks ago. But if we can hold up above 90, maybe setting a slightly higher low from a couple of weeks ago. Looking for Google to try to get back up to 92 where the daily 15 sits, 92.5 where the daily 8 sits, and 93, 93.5 where the daily 21 and the top of the 2-hour squeeze sits. Meta, still holding above 180, repeatedly holding 180 and bouncing. So, looking for it to hold 180, Friday's low 178.8. If Meta can hold 180, looking for it to try to fight back up to 184, 185 at the top of the 1-hour squeeze, and maybe fight up to 187, 188 at the top of the 4-hour squeeze. Last week's high around 190.5. If we can't hold 180 and we lose 178.5, likely coming down to 176.5, 175.5 where the daily 21 sits. Microsoft. Trying to hold this 248 in the daily 50 at the bottom of a bunch of intraday squeezes. As long as we can hold 248, Friday's low 247.5, looking for a bounce back up to 250, 252, kind of where we topped out this morning. And if we can clear 253.5 for the daily 21 sits, looking to get back up to 255. If we start to lose 248, 247.5, we want to target down to 245, 243.5. The low from a couple of weeks ago. And if that gives out, then big key level is 241. Netflix got back below 300. Trying to hold above 290. Friday's low, 289. So looking for that 1-point range to try to hold us. As long as we can hold that 290, 289, which is down near the third Keltner. Looking for us to try to fight back above 295, 297 where we topped out this morning. Back up to 300 and then a push back up to 305, 306. We give out 290, then we're just drifting past that third Keltner. Target 285, 280. Nvidia. A little weaker this morning, but getting back to the daily 21 at the bottom of a 4-hour squeeze at this 225. Looking for a hold there. If we can't hold, then target the low from a couple of weeks ago at around 223 and down to 220. But if Nvidia could try to hold 225 at the bottom of this squeeze and reverse back up, trying to play it up to 228, 230, 232, and then back up near Friday's highs around 236. QQQ. All of a sudden a little weaker and setting new lows past Fridays. Overall looking for 287 to try to hold, 286.5 maybe at the worst. This morning, as long as those can hold at the bottom of these 4-hour and daily squeezes. Looking for a reversal back up. At least to where we closed at 288.5, 290 where the daily 200 sits, and then back up to where we topped out Friday and pre-market around 294, 295, 295.5 where the daily 21 sits. We can't hold that 287, play it down to 285, 283 where the second Keltner sits. Past 283, you play it down to 280, 278, where the third Keltner sits. SPY. New lows past Friday, getting down to our big key zone here at 381.5, 380, where the third Keltner sits to the downside. So we might just want to let SPY drift down to this zone. Looks like we're going to get there. As long as we can hold that 380, 381 and a half. Third Keltner to the downside around 381. We can hold each of those key levels, then looking for a reversal back up to 384, 385, 386 fills the gap back up, and then up to 388 and a half. And maybe the overnight highs around that 392 and a half. Key levels. You can see we got up near that 392 and a half, rejected back down to 385, pop back up to this 388 and a half, and we're rejecting down near this zone. Tesla. New low past Friday's low this morning, but getting back to this key zone I have 166, 167 and a half. The daily 50 sitting at 167, so right in the middle. Looking for us to hold this zone at the worst pre-market low 166 and 165 psych level, but looking for us to try to hold here. If we can't hold there, then we want to target down to 160, 157 and a half, where the third Keltner sits to the downside. But if we can hold this zone in this daily 50, looking for a reversal back up above 170, back up to 175, 179 and a quarter, where we topped out pre-market. I got a key level around this 180. And if we can clear that this week, then playing back up to the daily 21 at 188 and a half, key levels at 190, daily 15 at 195, psych level 200. And VIX. Wow. Tapping pretty much 30 here, pre-market, in this further selling that we're seeing. So, man, in the span of a few days, we go from 18.5 to 30. After all of that SVB, that bank issue. So let's see if we're going to try to top out here at 30. Let's see if we're going to get upside today. I want to see us reject 30. Fall back down to 28, 27. VIX closed around 25. So we've got plenty of room to fill this gap back down. But we're up near 30. Let's see if we're just going to stay elevated. If we're going to see further selling, likely get past 30. And each key 1 point level, 31, 32. My next big key level is 33 and a half. Now we are hitting 30. So let's see if we can get a kind of snap reaction to hitting 30. Reject back down to 28, maybe 27, maybe even down to fill this gap at 24 and a half, 25. That's if we see upside today. If we still remain weak and just see more selling, and we're talking about VIX around this 30 and pushing up to this 33 and a half. So that's it for prep today. Hopefully everybody found this helpful. Good luck today, and we'll see everybody in the chat.